commemorating this. That's going to be a nice photo. Maybe the Danville newspapers will run that.
Yeah. Well, the cool part, too, as well, that photo's really neat. I know that must-see racing sprint cars. You see them all the time on MAV TV, on the Speed Sport Presents, on the primetime deal. And, man, they were just at Indianapolis Speedrome on that show not too long ago. That was a great event. They've been all over the Midwest. They've been to the Southeast. And, man, I love seeing them here.
Anderson Motor Speedway. They run regular down there in South Carolina. Maybe a future doubleheader kind of weekend for here and there.
I just say let's do a doubleheader with the cars, touring sprint cars.
Hey,
just
that's
saying.
a good thing.
Just saying. Do we get both? That's how that works. So they'll get the banner folded up for the event announcement, and we'll get the sprint cars away from the victory lane area and get late model stock cars rolling over in turns 3 and 4.
What was the final count on the late model stocks? How many do we have? 27?
Enough.
8, 9, something like that?
We've got plenty of them. There were 26 cars that took time in practice yesterday. 24, I think, are making the call for the green flag. As those cars are lined up, the drivers strapped in, getting the final commands from their crews, final adjustments made.
So when they say watch live or on demand, kind of tell us about on demand.
Well, if you're watching our Facebook free preview right now, on the Pit Row Facebook page, Cars Tour Facebook page. Heck, we're on the South Boston Speedway Facebook page as well. If you're watching on any of those or any of our other partners, what that means, you can watch it right now. If you're at home seeing this as we speak, go on there, catch the whole race.
But if I've got a sprint car friend that won't believe me that there were sprint cars on South Boston,
you can watch after the fact on your demand. That's how that all works.
Oh, okay.
Right? At 4 in the morning. Kind of like shopping at autosbynelson.com.
Oh, yeah.
While you're shopping at autosbynelson.com in one window, pull up the broadcast in the other window, and you can watch them both in your underwear.
Wow.
I just don't want to see you in your underwear. No.
Turn off the onboard camera on that computer.
Yes. So
there is the point leader, Bobby McCarty's car, on our camera screen right here on Cars Tour TV. Qualified second, so he's going to start up front row.
He'll start on the outside of the front row, Lenny. The gap after time trials, now 2 points. Bobby McCarty and Mike Looney have both tied for most poles with 2 on the season. They are both awarded 1 bonus point.
Now there's the driver that's second in points, just 1 point behind, but a bunch of cars behind from qualifying.
Yeah, Kaden Honeycutt could be starting deep in this field. I believe back in about the 17th spot or so. It's going to be a very tall mountain to climb for Kaden Honeycutt. However, it's been done before.
When has it been done?
By Bobby McCarty. So it's been done. So if you're watching at home, you see the point graphic on your screen. Entering this event, it was 1 point difference. After the bonus point for most poles, the gap is now 2 points.
So this graphic is pre-race. There we go. Oh, look at that.
We fancy.
James Pike. He's fancy like an Applebee's dinner.
Yeah, something like that. Fancy more like Bojangles. That's my pick,
that would be. He's like one of those fluffy biscuits with that sweet tea. Yeah, that's James Pike.
They're updating as we go.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. This is like a game show. Which number? Oh, it's 66. Look at that. So, wow. Well, at the end of it all, they'll have to update them again. So,
and by the way, if you're curious about how those points work, we took the time to tell you. So here's how it works, South Boston. If you're watching at home and or on this Facebook page, you can see the graphic on the screen. It's 1 point per position pretty much throughout the field. Except the win to second is a 2 point gap. All right, so that makes the math simple, right? But where this championship we anticipate will be won or lost is the lower right-hand corner of that graphic. The 4 bonus point categories for the event pole, the most poles in the season, the lap sled bonus points tonight, and most wins. As the wins currently stand, McCarty and Honeycutt are tied. So that bonus point is not. It goes away as they stand. But if one or the other were to happen to win this race, namely Kaden Honeycutt, that would come into play. If Bobby McCarty wins the race, he's already ahead. It's a moot point. Yeah. But again, lap sled, we saw it in the super late model race. Lap sled can make the difference. You get 1 point for leading a lap, 1 point for leading the most laps. So as this race progresses, folks, there are 4 additional bonus points up for grabs in addition to the points per position. So it's still anybody's championship.
Well, I think it's going to be a whole nother universe of watching the race within the race of Honeycutt trying to come up and make a challenge. He's got to go through 15-ish cars to be able to get up there and do any of this. And those 40-lap cautions that typically would come up, that's going to be something. And love our man Dylan Smith. Come on over here. Dylan Smith, NASCAR our personality. You got to talk a little bit. I'm going to put Stevens on with you. Dylan Smith, my friend since our childhood here, going to chat with you.
Well, Dylan just came in, and folks, he just brought us some of these.
Yeah.
He didn't bring 1. He didn't bring 2.
About 4.
He didn't bring 3. He brought 4.
I got more back in the truck. I brought the whole party. I just didn't want to get in trouble, so
You can bring us the whole party anytime.
Well, Truly is getting into the sport, so they wanted me to. Yeah, I'm all hung up over here. And Lenny's Truly's coming to the sport. They sponsor my pro late models, so they figured I'd come out to the car store race and bring it.
Well, we appreciate it. What'd you bring us? She brought strawberry lemonade.
Yep, strawberry lemonade.
And mango lemonade.
I think.
And there's an original lemonade.
Lemonade.
I've never had one of these.
Yeah, they're good. I've been drinking them all day.
Interesting.
I started with Dylan Welch, and Hannah gave me a ride up, so I started about 10 o'clock.
How many in are you?
Maybe about a case.
It can't be any worse than Landon Huffman when he was a few margaritas in.
Landon can't handle himself, okay?
So they got into these the other day. So how many does he do in a night?
Landon, well, before he knows it or after he's done? Because before he knows
whichever's applicable.
Well, like before he knows that he gets to about 5, and then after 5, I think Landon starts getting a little wispy in the old memory. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No.
Fair enough. Did you take any of these to race control upstairs?
I haven't. Do I need to?
Depends on who you talk to down there as to what your answer is.
Okay. Well, the good thing I haven't talked to anybody. I talked to Lane Riggs a little bit today, so maybe that'll help him out.
Well, you've been down there chatting with guys. You hang out with these guys.
Yeah.
Looking at this championship picture, the race picture, there are 2 pictures, but they all blend. What do you see about ready to unfold in front of us here at America's hometown track?
I mean, I just think it's awesome in general. I've been talking to the guys. I've been away from the sport for a while. I'm back. I'm working at MPI. Really excited to be there doing stuff with NASCAR. And to see short track racing so lively is great. I want to help grow that, make it better. I think Car Store has done a great job. And it's time for Car Store to get some support from, upper management, let's call it. I mean, they need some support. And
Talk to some people, would you?
Talk to some people. Get to Boston Brewing in here with some beers. How about that?
By the way, speaking of upper management, Kirk Ipok, upper management for Solid Rock Carriers, brought one of their fine trucks here to the racetrack. So, hey, pacing the field, thing looks good.
Hey, you know what? We're about this far away from being like Talladega. He just needs that big American flag hanging out the back of it. It looks just like Talladega here in South Boston Speedway.
Certainly does. Well, Mom, thanks for coming by. Thanks for enlightening us with some beverages.
Hey, enjoy yourself. Enjoy. It's been a pleasure listening to you guys, okay? Appreciate it. Everyone enjoy the broadcast.
They certainly will. And while we change Mamba's headset over to Lenny Baticki, let's go down trackside to Hannah Newhouse with some late-breaking stuff on what's happening for this late model stock event before we go green. Hannah?
Yeah, first and foremost, Dylan obviously knows how this works. He calls me for the ride to the racetrack because he's got another agenda when he gets here. But either way, glad to have him here. You said that late in breaking news. I actually talked to Lane Riggs during the super late model event. He said, hey, did you hear what happened? And I said, I haven't yet. He feels like he maybe dislocated his shoulder, strained his shoulder. They were actually trying to move the car right after the fan fest. He leaned into the car to put the car into neutral to be able to move it. and got kind of stuck and actually feels like he may have dislocated his shoulder. He said his dad, Scott, had to push it back into position. He was hurting pretty bad, kind of had it iced and taken something before the race. So definitely not the situation you want to be in for 125 laps at a track that is already so physically tough to race at. So pay attention to Lane Riggs, might be something he battles all evening long.
And there's more to the Lane Riggs story as well, Lenny. He's had that now in his mind, but there's been more in his mind as well.
Well, Lane and his dad met Mike and Chad Diffie at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago. Chad Diffie was a lineman, 24 years old, down in Florida, worked a double shift. He had his heart in his job, and then driving home, fell asleep at the wheel. Now, on the A pillar, or the B pillar of that car, right above the 9 of the 99 on each side, well, Chad Diffie's photo in memory of that lineman that gave his all for his work, who was a loving family member, and he is the angel on board for Lane Riggs. So maybe if that shoulder starts to give way, Chad will be there. So we'll watch, and the 99 with wings on it. And good luck to Lane, and our condolences to Mike and the family for Chad passing.
Absolutely, we do. Now we're looking at the title contenders on the screen. If you're watching online, this is how it sits, Lenny. You see there the difference in poles. That's the 1 point that Bobby McCarty gained. The wins are identical. And this other stat, very important. Now, if it comes down to tiebreakers, this is how this
starts
to
works. Drop back where they finished, right?
It goes to wins first, where they're tied. It goes to second place finishes, where at the moment McCarty has an advantage. And then it goes to P3 finishes, where at the moment Kaden Honeycutt has an advantage. The scenarios work out where anything can happen, and if we have to get to the tiebreaker, wins, P2, P3, that is where the championship could come down to another race at another time earlier this season. That may be the difference.
Well, McCarty's wearing a PFC brakes hat, and I like those too. So, that's worth like a quarter of a point at least. And
unfortunately, we round down.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well,
by the way, if you're on social media, tell us where you're watching from. Tell us who you are cheering for here in this one. We always like to see what folks are saying and where they're from. And, folks, give us all your feedback as this race goes on. It's 125 laps of calculators blazing, throttle pedals down, wheels back and forth, and the temperature, speaking of down, Lenny, has continued to drop closer to the 50s. The wind has slowed down. The humidity, though, starting to creep up ever so slowly.
You get humidity in the air. That puts more water drains in the air, puts more moisture in, and takes just a little bit of power out. It'll keep things cooler, which will add some, but it's always that fine line of the jetting of the carburetors of these cars and how they're able to manage that a little bit of more moisture to take away from the amount of fuel that's going into the pistons. So lights are still on the Cars Tour pace car, and Jacqueline Drake about to climb out of it, it seems there. She is hanging all outside of it. Connor Hall from the Langley Speedway area, raced at Southside back when it was running and other tracks. Really learned a lot working with Mark Wirtz. And we see Hall in the blue car, McCarty to his outside, Minnie Tyrell sitting back there in third, and he is joined by McCaskill.
For the final time this season, through the KRC Power Steering Start Zone, Connor Hall will lead the field down. The green flag is out, and the AutosByNelson.com 250 by Bojangles is underway. Lap number one to Connor Hall, but Lenny, Bobby McCarty is about to make it a 3-point gap if he leads this one.
Well, he sure got around Hall quickly, and they made contact on the very first corner of the first lap. And I don't think McCarty appreciated that. He wanted to get out there in front and keep that 22 Chevrolet really clean up front.
Oh, a little bit further back behind them. This is a fight for about the 6th spot or so, maybe 8th. Lane Riggs starting to fall back when he's on the outside. Jonathan Schaefer underneath of him. And oh boy, maybe that shoulder starting to give way for Lane Riggs here early as McCaskill trying to move forward as well.
Well, I can tell you it's hard to announce with a separated shoulder as we did last year at Florence Motor Speedway. But I can't imagine trying to drive with one. And he's got Diaz on the inside of him, it looks like.
He does. That's Mason Diaz, the 24, trying to get the spot. Man, Lane, though, fighting tough on the outside. The ladder driver said they think the outside will come in. It very well could here tonight.
We saw a couple of them in the supers trying the upper line. And now Diaz is able to clear Riggs. And Riggs has company on the inside from the 54 as they continue to work around. We look back through the pack back behind them. All over the place these race cars are. Riggs still battling there. The 54 behind him as they work their way around the racetrack. That is Taylor Gray in the 54. And if somebody's going to have a pretty quick scooter, it's going to be Taylor Gray. Bobby McCarty leads. Connor Hall second. Deke McCaskill, the winner from not last week, 6 days ago, wasn't even a week ago. Sunday race that Deke won. Minnie Tyrell, who won at Tri-County. Jonathan Schaefer, impressive what he has done. He went on the midsummer break, ran midgets for Keith Coons and Toyota Racing, and came back and has had just stellar runs. So good for him. Carter Langley in the 5, just out of shot, now back in it. That's Carter Langley. There's the 54 of Gray. Silvestri looking at that group from the 97 perspective. Gray down to the inside, trying to get around Lane Riggs.
Now Taylor Gray unable to get by Riggs at the moment. And again, this is the fight for about the 9th spot now as Riggs continues to work the outside of the racetrack. And this is the first side-by-side battle on track. So if you're worried about that, we are actually, that's the 7th spot, I should say, we're racing at right now. But it's a good fight as they work their way into turn number 3.
Gray on the inside, the 54, the Ripper coffee machine. Trying to get that caffeine rocket going.
Certainly trying ahead of them. This is Minnie Tyrell, Jonathan Schaefer, Mason Diaz. This is the fight for 4th, 5th, 6th on the screen. Again, all nose to tail, trying to chase down the top 3.
Yeah, I think Tyrell is holding the other 2 up, or at least Schaefer up. Diaz has worked his way up to this spot, so probably both Schaefer and Diaz have cars faster than Tyrell, but Tyrell's car wide enough to keep him back.
At least for the moment, and not surprised. Lee Puglia made the bottom work very, very well here in years prior. One of his proteges, Jonathan Schaefer, you see that in turn 1?
Oh, yeah.
Doing the exact same thing, trying to get that car to turn.
They got a little loose coming out of the last corner, and Diaz picked up just a bit on him. And look at this. Yarborough in the 95, scooting away from the 26 machine.
This is 15th, 16th, and 17th, Lenny, and most importantly, right in front of Kaden Honeycutt.
Yes. Kaden Honeycutt really hasn't come through many positions yet at this point. And the 4 car is Honeycutt, trying to get around these other cars. Yarborough.
Connor Mosak there in the 26.
That's who that
17, is. Joe Valento. To give you an idea, the leader is at the line now. That's how far back they are here in only the first 18 laps. Kaden Honeycutt has got to go, and he has got to go quick.
He's got to go, and he's got to go quick because in his mirror, and sometime not too far, might be Bobby McCarty to put a lap down.
By the way, if you're watching on social, I want to say hi to William Cooper. He's Bobby McCarty's new neighbor, cheering him on. Josh Bullock cheering on Deke McCaskill for the win. And the 4 car of Kaden Honeycutt for the championship out of Durham, North Carolina. We've seen people from all over the country chiming in. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're cheering for. But Lenny, there's only 5 laps left on this free preview, and it's just starting to get good as this storyline continues to develop.
Oh, yeah. Honeycutt looks to the inside of Mosak. Mosak won a sports car race at Watkins Glen earlier this year. So, you know, he knows how to get around a racetrack. He usually has more turns the other way, but right now, Mosak holding back Kaden Honeycutt's advances. Honeycutt has nowhere to go.
Yeah, and again, continue to watch where Bobby McCarty is in relation to this group. That gap continues to shrink. While you watch them, we'll give you an idea of where the leader is as they make their way now into turn number 1. Bobby McCarty is at the start-finish line. now. That's about a third of a lap. They're away from going one lap down, Lenny.
They are. And here comes Honeycutt to the inside of Mosack. It's giddy-up time for the Texan. Down the back straightaway. He will nose ahead of Connor Mosack to try to bring Minnesota's Joe Valento with him, but Joe not able to make the pass on Mosack.
And you see McCarty there in the box to give you an idea of where he's at. We'll keep an eye on that for you as the evening progresses. But this is the big story. Honeycutt trying to move his way forward through a whole bunch of cars. And if you want to see how the rest of this plays out, folks, the address in the bottom of your frame, www.carstour.tv. Entering the race, it was one single point. How will it end up here tonight? We'll see you on the flip side, www.carstour.tv.
Honeycutt looking to get around South Carolina's Sam Yarborough, the Texan.